What's going on, guys? Thanks for watching. Keep calm and game on. In this episode, we are reacting to President Trump hosting the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte at White House. Rutte at White House? I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name. But yeah, we're just going to pop in. I put a link to the original video in the chat if you want to check it out for yourself without my commentary. But yeah, we're just going to jump in. And yeah, here we go.
Netherlands, I got to know him very well. We had a great relationship always. Mark Rutte. Now he's Secretary General of NATO.
Also, shout out to all the new subscribers out there.
Every report
welcome.
What a great job he did, and I'm not at all
a lot of new subscribers, so I appreciate it, guys.
We had to support him.
You rock.
We supported him as soon as I heard the name. But he was a fantastic prime minister, and he's doing a fantastic job.
A fantastic job. Fantastic.
Netherlands or?
This job is quite tough.
I would think this is a little
but Dutch politics is also brutal. So.
Yeah, but this is pretty tough.
Politics in general is probably not easy.
We're going to be discussing a lot of things. Obviously, we'll be discussing what's happening with respect to Ukraine and Russia. At this moment, we have people talking in Russia. We have representatives over there, Steve Witkoff and others. And they're in very serious discussions. As you know, Ukraine has agreed, subject to this, what's happening today, to a complete ceasefire.
This is big, guys. This is big. We're getting stuff done. We're getting stuff done.
Killed, young people, usually, mostly young people. We were just talking about.
Fingers crossed, Putin actually agrees to a ceasefire, and we get some stuff going in the right direction.
They're not Americans, and they're not from the Netherlands for the most part. No. They're from Russia, and they're from Ukraine. But they're people.
Also got my hat on. Trump 2024, boys. Found it. It was sitting in my living room. Misplaced it, but it's back.
And it's something
it's back.
That would have never happened if I were president, and it makes me very angry to see that it did happen. But it happened, and we have to stop it. And Mark has done some really good work over the last week. We've been working together. And he's done some really good work, so I'm very happy about that. We'll also be talking about trade and various other things, and I think we'll have a very, very strong day. We're going to have lunch afterwards. That'll go, and then we'll see you all later. But
I wonder what they actually eat for lunch.
Yeah,
like steak,
thank you so
McDonald's.
Much, Mr. President, dear Donald, again for hosting.
Just curious.
But also for taking time in Florida. A couple of weeks after you were re-elected.
That's right.
And of course our phone call a couple of weeks ago, and I must say, Trump 45, you originated the fact that in Europe we are now spending, when you take it to aggregate, 700 billion more on defense than when you came in office in 2016, 2017. But that was Trump 45.
That's a lot of money.
Then when you look at Trump 47,
That'd be hard to tell.
what happened the last couple of weeks is really staggering. The Europeans committing to a package of 800 billion defense spending. The Germans now, potentially up to $500 billion extra in defense spending. And then of course you had Keir Starmer here, the British Prime Minister, and others, all committing to much higher defense spending. We're not there, we need to do more, but I really want to work together with you in a run-up to the Hague Summit.
Getting stuff done.
That we will have a NATO.
People are starting to pitch in.
Reinvigorated.
America's done funding everybody.
We will also discuss defense production because we need to produce more weaponry. We are not doing enough. And not in the US, not in Europe, and we are lacking behind when you compare to the Russians and the Chinese. And you have a huge defense industrial base. Europeans buying 4 times more here.
4 times more?
The other way around, which is good because you have a strong defense industry, but we need to do more there to make sure that we ramp up the production and kill the red tape. So I would love to work with you on that. And finally, Ukraine. You broke the deadlock. As you said, all the killing, the young people dying, cities getting destroyed. The fact that you did that you started the dialogue with the Russians, and the successful talks in Saudi Arabia now with the Ukrainians. I really want to commend you for this.
So we started talking. That's a good thing.
I love to host.
We're not there yet, but
and work together to make sure
they've started talking. So you know,
a real success, projecting American power on the world stage.
What Mark is saying is when I first went to NATO, my first meeting, I noticed that very few people were paying. And if they were, they weren't paying their fair share. There were only 7 countries that were paying what they were supposed to be paying, which was, yeah,
it's even worse.
Could be even worse. But there were just very few countries that were paying, and even the paying, it was at 2%, which is too low. It should be higher. It should be quite a bit higher. But you had Poland, and I remember Poland was actually paying a little bit more than they were supposed to, which I was very impressed with. They've been actually terrific, and some of the others. But most of them weren't paying, or they were paying very little. And I didn't think it was appropriate to bring it up there, but I said it's going to be brought up at my next meeting. And my next meeting, the first meeting, you want to give them a little break. The second meeting, it began, and I was able to raise hundreds of billions of dollars. I just said, we're not going to be involved with you if you're not going to pay. And the money started pouring in, and NATO became much stronger because of my actions and working along with a lot of people, including Mark. But they would not pay for other presidents. And
they're paying now, boys. They're paying now.
They weren't paid. I asked first question, has everybody paid up? And literally, I mean, they told me 7. You could be right, it could be 3, but that makes it even worse. But they just weren't paying. And I said, no, I won't protect if you're not paying. If you're delinquent, or
because
if the
we're
money
smart.
isn't paid,
Trump is smart.
Why would we do that? And as soon as I said that, got a little hit from the press because they said, oh, gee, that's not very nice. But if you said the other, nobody would have paid. And the money started coming in by the billions. And, hundreds of billions of dollars flowed into NATO, and NATO became strong.
Yeah.
And you remember that. Your predecessor, who I thought was a very good man.
Absolutely.
Actually.
Yeah, Stoltenberg. He sends his best greetings.
He was terrific. Stoltenberg, Secretary General.
Right.
And he made the statement that when Trump came in, the money started coming in like we never saw before. Hundreds of billions, actually probably close to $600 billion came in, and NATO became strong from that standpoint. And now we have to use it wisely, and we have to get this war over with, and you'll be back to a normal, much more normal life. And maybe we're close. We're getting words that things are going okay in Russia, and it doesn't mean anything until we hear what the final outcome is. But they have very serious discussions going on right now with President Putin and others, and hopefully they all want to end
The
this
chit chat
nightmare.
has started.
It's a nightmare. It's a horrible thing when you look. I get pictures every week. They give me the pictures of the battlefield, which I almost don't want to see. It's so horrible to see.
If you're just popping in, guys, welcome to the stream. Glad you're here. Glad you're watching.
All over the field. It's a most terrible
Trump is
thing
hosting
that
the
you'll
NATO
ever see.
Secretary General at the White House.
It's gotta
So
stop.
we're kind of
These are
reacting
young
to that.
people with mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and friends, and it's got to stop. So we hopefully are going to be in a good position sometime today to have a good idea. We'll have we know where we are with Ukraine, and we are getting good signals outside of Russia as to where we are with Russia. And hopefully they'll do the right thing. It's really humanity. We're talking about humanity. We're not talking about the money. But then you add the money to it, and hundreds of billions of dollars is being spent and really wasted so unnecessarily. It should have never happened. So it's an honor to have you here. They picked a great gentleman. I'll tell you, I was so happy to hear, because you had somebody. Stoltenberg was really good, and you have somebody that's going to do an incredible job. And I was so much in favor of you. You have no idea. They had another person that I did not like. I was not happy. And I think I kept him from, you know what I'm talking about. I said, this is the right man to do it. And he really did. He was a great prime minister of the Netherlands. He did a great job. And that's what he's doing right now. So thank you, everybody, for being here. And it's a very great honor to have you. And we even have some of our great energy people here today. Right?
Once they start
The governor,
opening
and
things
we
up to
have
questions
Chris,
from the reporters, they're just going to
supposed to be the most talented
everyone's going
man
to start
in the
talking at
world of
once.
energy, according to
The
governor.
reporters
So I don't know if he's right.
are
We have
just
Jeremy,
very
you've been
chatty,
fantastic.
very
Thank you
chit-chatty.
very much. And we have a lot of good people that won't be so much involved with this, but they wanted to see what was happening. It's become a little bit of a show.
Also, shout out to everybody that
They
watched the
wanted
live
to see
stream
what
last
was
night. We got like
happening. And I think a lot of good
8.4
things are
thousand
happening.
views.
So with that, if anybody would
So
have
if
a
you were there,
question-
thank you for watching.
Sorry. Steve Witkoff's trip to Moscow, you spoke about it. What sort of agreement do you hope he comes away from there with?
Well, we'd like to see a ceasefire from Russia. And we have, not been working in the dark. We've been discussing with Ukraine land and pieces of land that would be kept and lost, and all of the other elements of a final agreement. There's a power plant involved, a very big power plant involved. Who's going to get the power plant and who's going to
Who's
get
getting the
this
power
and that?
plant,
So,
guys? Russia or
it's not
Ukraine?
an easy process. But phase one is the.
I think Ukraine should. I mean,
ceasefire.
obviously, I
A
think
lot of
Ukraine
the
should keep all of it.
subjects have been discussed, We've been discussing
is that gonna happen?
concepts of
Doubt it.
because you don't want to waste time with the
Putin's going to be
ceasefire
like,
if
we're taking
it's
this,
not
we're
gonna
taking
mean
that.
anything. So we're saying, look,
They're going to have to
this
meet
is
somewhere in the middle,
what
but
you can get, this
we'll
is
see what
you
happens.
can't get. They discussed NATO and being
We'll
in
see
NATO,
what
and
happens.
Everybody knows what the answer to that is. They've known that answer for 40 years, in all fairness. A lot of the details of a final agreement have actually been discussed. Now we're going to see whether or not Russia's there, and if they're not, it'll be a very disappointing moment for the world. Yeah.
Vladimir Putin just said he is open to a ceasefire, but he does still have some concerns. He suggested that you two should speak directly. Do you have plans to speak to him soon? If
Well, I
so,
will,
when? Are
yeah,
you confident
sure.
you can get this across the table?
Sure. He did say that today. It was a very promising statement because other people are saying different things, and you don't know if they have anything to really, if they have any meaning, or I don't know. I think some of them were making statements. I don't think they have anything to do with it. No, he put out a very promising statement, but it wasn't complete. And yeah, I'd love to meet with him or talk to him. But we have to get it over with fast. Every day people are being killed. It's not like, as we sit here, 2 people will be killed. Think of it. 2 people are going to be killed during this little period of time. Thousands of people a week are dying. So we really don't
Gotta
have
get
very
this
much
war
time. We have
stopped.
to make this fast.
Gotta get it
shouldn't
stopped.
be very complicated.
Thank you, Mr. President. A representative of Canada, the finance minister, are in town and will meet members of your administration during the day. Any chances that you will ban on the tariffs on aluminum and the ones that are planned for April 2nd?
No.
You are not going to change your
No,
mind?
not. Look, we've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore. No, I'm not going to ban
Not
at all.
anymore, boys.
Aluminum or steel or cars.
We're not getting
We're
ripped
not
off.
gonna ban.
We're done.
We've been ripped
We're done.
off as a country for
Dunzo.
many, many years. We've been subjected to costs that we shouldn't be subjected to. In the case of Canada, we're spending $200 billion a year to subsidize Canada. I love Canada. I love
Nope,
the people
nope,
of
nope.
Canada. I have many friends in Canada. The great one, Wayne Gretzky, the great. Hey, how good is Wayne Gretzky? He's the great one. But we have, I know many people from Canada that are good friends of mine. But, the United States can't subsidize a country for $200 billion a year. We don't need their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't need their lumber. We don't need anything that they give. We do it because
We can
wanna
get it
be
from
helpful,
America,
but
boys.
It comes a point
We
when
get
you
the
just
trees
can't
from
do
America,
that.
the
You
oil
have to
from
run
America.
your
We get
own
it all here.
country. And to be honest with you, Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. As a state, it would be one of the great states anyway. This would be the most incredible country visually. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. Just a straight artificial line. Somebody did it a long time ago, many, many decades ago, and makes no sense. It's so perfect as a great and cherished state. Keeping "O Canada," the national anthem. I love it. I think it's
So he's
great.
going to let them keep
it.
their national
It'll be for the
anthem,
state, one of our greatest
even if they
states.
become a state.
Maybe our
You
greatest
guys
state.
think Canada's going to become the
But,
51st state?
Why should we
What do you guys think?
subsidize another country for $200 billion? It costs us $200 billion.
$200 billion a
And
year?
again, we don't need their lumber.
That's a lot.
We don't need their
That's a lot
energy.
of
We have more
money.
than they do. We don't need anything. We don't need their cars. I'd much rather make the cars here. And there's not a thing that we need. Now, there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long. But they need us. We really don't need them. And we have to do this. I'm sorry. We have to do this. Yes.
Mr. President.
Yeah.
Change has got to be made. We got to do it. We got to do it.
That NATO needs to step
And it might get messy
up.
before it gets better. It might get worse before it gets better. That's just how it
do you
works.
envision this new transatlantic
So buckle up, boys.
NATO stepping
Buckle up.
Well, NATO is stepping up through this man. This man is a man that only knows how to step up. And we have the same goal in mind. We want the war ended. And he's doing his job. He only knows how to do a good job. That's one thing. That's why I fought for him to get that job.
Do you think the
Because,
war in
some
Ukraine
other
and Russia, do you
candidates
think
that
that's
don't
going to
tell you
end
we've
soon,
done
guys?
a very
Let me
good
know in the
job.
chat.
It is part of the move from
I think we're getting close. We're getting close to agreements. People are talking.
We're going to get him a clip of of that little last statement. The rest of the statements he doesn't care about.
Sir, how does the
There's a
new
there's a chance.
transatlantic cooperation, how do you envision it?
Well, we have, that's one thing. I mean, you know, we're on the other side of the ocean. And
Also, guys,
they're
vote
right
on the
there.
poll we got going in the
And,
chat. I asked,
we're in for
are you a fan of
$350
Trump?
billion
Yes or no?
Because of Biden.
Out of 2 votes, we have 2 people
they're in for
that
$100
said
billion.
yes,
So
they are
what's the
fans
big
of Trump,
difference?
100%.
And it's unfair.
So
And I
vote
say
on
you
that
have to
poll if you're
equalize.
watching.
They should equalize. They should have. It should have never happened where Biden just gave this money away. Now, as you know, we have an agreement with Ukraine on the rare earths and other things, and that'll get us something back, a lot back. It'll get us our money back. We're not doing it for that, though. I'm just doing this to get the war stopped. I'm doing it really to save lives.
Let's
but
get
at
the
same
war
time,
stopped. Let's save some lives.
We were treated very unfairly, as we always are. by
Let's get
every
it done.
country. And we're in
Having
for
this war
very
go on forever
substantially
isn't
more
going to
than
help anybody.
the
It's not going to help
European
Ukraine. It's not going to help
nations are
Russia. It's not going to help
and
America.
that
We need to
can be-
stop
you know,
it,
they're much
come
more
to some type of
effective by it
agreement,
than we are, 'cause we
and
don't
all
have
move on
enough
with our
between.
lives.
But
You know, we gotta learn to get along.
I think good things are going to happen. I really do. I think good things are going to happen. I do say, we were talking before, and Mark was very nice. He said, if you would get involved, there would be nothing. You'd just be going on. This thing would have gone on for a long
Breaking a
time.
deadlock. It was crucial.
Yeah, we broke a deadlock. We did break a deadlock. I hope it's meaningful. Yes, did you have one? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Amanda Head with Just the News. On the southern border, you've got DHS and ICE who are reporting that there was a little bit of fudging of numbers during the Biden administration on both the catch and the release side.
Biden did a lot of
Is there
fudging
reporting
numbers.
the
He
number
fudged a lot of
illegals
numbers,
coming into
Biden
the
did.
country?
The numbers were, I love that question. Who are you with?
Just the News, Amanda Head.
Very nice. That's good. That's
Do you
good.
know how many of those are criminal illegal aliens? And
Many of them.
Biden's out of office, Alejandro Mayorkas, who gets
No,
held
Biden
accountable?
fudged the numbers. The numbers were totally fake. And he gave fake numbers. I knew they were fake. Everybody knew they were fake, but now it came out. And terrible what they did. That administration was a horror show for this country.
Can you hold anyone accountable?
Well, I don't know. They gave phony numbers, and phony numbers are a very bad thing to give, but I'm not sure about that. I don't know how it would play. We want to get it straightened out. We're after many, many bad people that were let into our country, and Kristi Noem and my friend Homan. How good is Tom Homan doing, right? And they're after him, and I mean, you see they're taking him out in record numbers. Gang members, gang leaders, drug dealers. There's a problem the Netherlands does not have. The Netherlands never had this problem. If you'd like to take
Yeah,
it
a
for a
few
look.
drug dealers.
I could deliver some people. I could deliver some nice people to the Netherlands if you'd like.
I'm not sure.
No, what he did to this country, letting 21 million people flow through an open border, many of those people were hard criminals from prisons and jails, from mental institutions, and I always say insane asylums because they were seriously deranged. And they're here from, not South America, from all over the world. From South America, but from all over the world. And it's so.
But we sealed
it's
it
so
up.
sad. You'd say,
The
why would
border is
anybody
more
do this?
secure now than
Yeah,
it's
go ahead.
ever been.
And
I don't know what
there's
Biden was doing.
internal Democrat polling that doesn't
I don't
look
even think
good
Biden
for
knew what
Democrats,
Biden
but
was
it also
doing.
has 54% unfavorability for Republicans.
But it's
in
we
swing
got to
states
shut
and
now.
battlegrounds for the midterms. Do you consider
The border
those that are
is
in fact
shut.
capturable for Republicans?
Yeah, well, we did, I won every swing state, as you know, by a lot. And I won the popular vote by a lot. And we won the counties. If you look at the counties and district plan, we had 2,725, and they had 501. That's why the map is all red. So we had a great thing. Yeah, I think winning from the Democrats, if you look the other night, I made a speech, and I introduced 2 young ladies who were killed, viciously, violently killed, young.
If you guys are watching, let me know what you
Both
think
outstanding
in the comment
people.
section.
They
Do
were
you
killed
think
by
Trump
illegal
is going to get
aliens.
this war
And
with
the
Russia
Democrats
ended
wouldn't
soon?
get up and applaud. The mothers
What do you
were,
guys think?
I mean, inconsolable.
Ukraine has
They were
agreed to a
crying, and
30-day
everybody was
ceasefire.
crying.
We're waiting on
The
Russia to
Democrats
agree.
sat there
We're going to
with
start
stone
talking.
faces. They didn't clap. They didn't stand. They didn't do anything.
Hopefully we can meet somewhere in the middle,
We
get
had
this
a
thing
young
buttoned
man
up,
with
finished,
very
and we can
serious
all move on
cancer.
with our
His
lives. What do you
dream
guys
is
think? Do you
to
think
be
it's going
with
to
the
happen
police
soon?
department
Do you think it's going to
someday.
happen at all? Do you
And he
think
was introduced. They didn't even
Putin is
clap.
just going to be like, nah, we're going to
I
keep
mean,
fighting
they
forever?
were disgusting,
What do you think?
frankly. They were
Let me know in the
disgusting.
comment
There's
section.
something wrong with them. They're deranged. They're deranged, like Jack Smith. They're deranged people. And I never saw anything like it. I'm standing up and I introduce the mother and the parents of these two young girls that were just recently essentially killed, violently killed. And the Democrats are like this. It's so sad. And I saw it this morning where one of them is.
I don't know what goes through the Democrat mind, but I don't know. I just don't know.
Play in women's sports. I said, yeah, I thought that was tried. I thought that was about a 95. I think it's a 95% issue. But in a way, I want them to keep doing it because I don't think they can win a race. I mean, and I tell the Republicans, I said, don't bring that subject up because there's no election right now.
If Democrats keep going the way they're going, like, they're never going to get elected again.
And everything's transgender this, transgender that.
Like, nobody wants that woke crap anymore.
Bad politics, but one thing, they stick together.
We're tired of it. We did it for 4 years.
And the Republicans stick together.
We don't want it.
But we have a couple that are grandstanders. You know, you always have grandstanders.
The people voted,
but
and it's pretty clear what direction America wants to go in.
They do stick together, right?
It's pretty clear.
So,
And the Democrats just can't handle it.
well, if they do a shutdown, and ultimately that might lead to very, very high taxes, because we're talking about a shutdown, we're talking about getting to work immediately on the greatest tax bill ever passed. That was the one we did.
The greatest ever passed. Greatest tax bill ever.
Cut people's taxes, and if we don't open, the Democrats are stopping all of these good things that we're providing.
Why do the Democrats want to, like, shut down the government right now?
This country's ever provided.
I don't get it.
The biggest part of that's going to be tax cuts for the middle class and for businesses.
We got to
small
keep it open
businesses,
so we can keep the momentum going, so we can get the
people
tax
that,
cuts, get the
hire
war
people,
ended.
Jobs. And if it's shut down, it's only going to be, if there's a shutdown, it's only because of the Democrats. And they would really be taking away a lot from our country and from the people of our country.
Mr. President, on tariffs, you made clear you're not backing down from this, but many American small business owners say they are concerned that these tariffs are going to hurt them. What's your message to them?
I say
They're gonna
bring the
be
tariffs,
so much
boys.
richer than they are right
Bring
now.
them on.
And, we have-
If I got to eat beans and rice for
Yesterday,
4
General
years,
Motors was
bring it
able to
on.
invest
I don't
$60
care.
billion.
We got to make America great again, boys.
The people from Facebook were in yesterday. They're going to invest $60 billion by the end of the year.
Any Trumpsters out there watching?
Talking
Any
about
Trumpsters?
numbers. Apple, as you know.
If you like Trump, post a comment. If you don't like
3
Trump,
days ago
post a
announced
comment.
$500 billion investment.
I'll
They're
chat
gonna
with
build
anybody.
their plants in the United States, which, as you know, almost all of their plants are in China. Now they're building in the United States. Nobody.
He's currently he's meeting with
Look,
the
reason
NATO
is two
chief
things. Number one,
at the
election,
moment.
November 5th. And the other thing
And
is tariffs. I
the
think
press,
probably in that order.
the news outlet are asking him questions, and he's just
Tim
answering
Cook
all the
came in
questions.
and he announced 500.
Biden never did that.
Think of it, 500 billion. not
Biden
million.
never took
500
questions,
million's
like,
a lot
ever.
When you think about it, right? But, well, I would have been happy with 500 million, but it's $500 billion investment by Apple in the United States, and that's because of the election result, and it's because of the tariff,
Someone, how you doing, man?
And the tax incentives too. You know, tariffs and tax.
How's it going,
incentives.
someone?
And I've never seen anything like it. We have plants going up now in Indiana. We have plants going up in Michigan. A lot of plants going to be planned from. I'm trying to steer them to Michigan because Michigan got so bad.
And answer what, someone? What do you want me to answer?
What happened with Europe? You know, if you look at Europe, take a look at the EU. We're not allowed to sell cars there. It's prohibitive because of their policies and also their non-monetary tariffs. They put obstacles in your way that you can do nothing about. But if you take a look at what happens, so we sell no cars to Europe. I mean, virtually no cars. And they sell millions of cars to us. They don't take our agriculture, we take their agriculture. It's like a one-way street with them. The European Union is very, very nasty. They sue our companies. Apple was forced to pay
No more,
$16
boys.
billion
We're done.
on a
We're
case
done.
That, very much like my cases that I won. They shouldn't have been even cases, but we felt they had no case, and they ended up having an extremely favorable judge and decision.
Am I tired,
decision.
or what?
But they're suing
What?
Google, they're suing Facebook.
It is.
they're suing
It's
all of these
11:07 right now.
companies, and they're taking billions of dollars out of American companies, many more than the ones I just mentioned. And I guess they're using it to run Europe or something. I don't know what they're using it for, but they treat us very badly. China obviously treats us very badly. Almost everybody does, and I blame past presidents, to be honest. Because when I was president,
Now we got to fix
we
everybody
received
else's mess.
so far
We're
about
fixing it, though. It's going to take some
$700
time. We're only
billion
like
from
50
China
days
over
in.
the years on
But
the
we're gonna
tariffs
get
that
it
I put in.
fixed,
No
all
other
right?
president
We're
got 10
fixing it
cents
up.
from China. And that was only beginning, except for COVID. I would have been able to finish the process. But we had to fight the COVID thing, and we did really well with it. But we had to fight.
I
And then
think
we
all
had
things considered, we did pretty
as you
good on
remember,
COVID.
Mark, we actually handed over the stock market. It was higher than just previous to COVID coming in, which was sort of a miracle, frankly.
We could have done some stuff better,
But the
obviously.
tariffs are very
But for the
important.
most part, I think we
And I
did
think the
pretty well.
psychology, there's great spirit. When Mark came in, he said, congratulations, there's a whole new spirit, there's a whole new light over this country, and really over the world. Because you have somebody that, a whole group of people, really, because I talk about this whole group that we
I
know
was
what they're
asking if you
doing,
support,
and a lot of great things are
I have no
happening. But I've
clue if
never
this
seen
will send.
investment like this. Trillions of dollars is being invested.
I
in
don't
the
judge
United
anybody
States now
for,
that
you know,
we've never- Our
people can
country
do whatever they
would have
want,
failed.
just don't
Another
put it in
4 years
schools,
of
you know?
this, what happened in the last 4 years, our country would have been a crime-ridden.
I don't
mess.
think they should be teaching
And I
kids
don't
in
know if you
schools
noticed,
like a certain
little thing they call it, but
certain
it's
type
not
of
a little
thing.
if you don't have, if
Teach
you
them
like
reading,
eggs, if
writing,
you don't have a lot of
arithmetic.
money.
Get all that woke
Eggs
stuff
have
out of
gone
schools.
down
If they want to learn that
25%
stuff outside of
in the
school,
last
fine. But like, we shouldn't be
couple
promoting it.
weeks. We inherited
Just my
that
opinion.
problem. Eggs. Groceries have gone down a little bit. Energy's gone down. Do you want to speak to that for a second, Governor?
Yeah, let's talk about some energy,
Just,
boys.
say
Let's talk
before
about
we
some
hear a
energy.
bit about energy, what's happened?
Well, happy to, but I think that Chris and I just came from CERAWeek, which is the largest conference in the world, so global leaders, people from the EU.
That is a lot of people behind those cameras.
Officials from all the energy-producing countries, all there, and all
If
the
you guys are
global
watching
nationals,
this
all the
live,
US.
drop a comment. If you're
The
watching this
spirit
after
of
it's
that
done
group
broadcasting, drop a
is
comment.
through
We had
the
like
world, because now we
8,000
realize
people
that
pop in
the
last
United
night.
States,
So
the
shout out
President's
if you were one of them.
policies are pro-
And thank you for
pro-developing
subscribing
more
as well.
energy, as opposed to we're trying to shut
We got a lot
down
of new
energy,
subscribers last
and
night.
that
We are on our way to
pro-business,
6,000
pro-energy
subscribers.
approach, is
6K.
giving people the optimism, so then the markets are reacting to that, and energy prices on the futures market are going to go down because people know we're not going to be killing off the energy we need for prosperity in all of our countries, but also for peace. Because people have used energy to fuel these wars that President Trump is working so hard to end, and we know that high energy prices were driving the inflation that he talked about. So it accomplishes two goals for us, which is prosperity for the world, peace for the world, when we have smart energy policies and President
Smart
Trump has
energy.
brought common sense
That's,
back to how we
we're,
think about
we're,
energy.
we're bringing common sense
Right
back,
now,
boys.
$65
Common sense
a
is back.
barrel, I saw
It's
this
back
morning. That's
in the White
phenomenal
House.
news.
It's back in
That's gonna
America.
that's what brought it up.
Common
The
sense,
energy
boys.
They took our beautiful energy policies and they just messed them up.
You
And
can
then they
basically
went
just do the
immediately back to
reverse
them
of what
because-
Biden
but by
did,
that time, they
and
lost
your country's going to be
They
fixed.
lost that Bronco, as the
Just do the
expression
opposite,
goes.
complete
Chris, you have
opposite of what
something
Biden
to
did.
say?
Oh, I think Doug said it well, but you just can't overstate how important the return of common sense, the return of knowledge about energy and pro-American consumers, pro-investment in our country.
Also,
I think
if you're brand new to the
globally,
channel,
was welcomed.
post
I
an
mean, capital
emoji,
flows,
post a
there's
comment,
more
something so I can give you a
sobriety,
shout out.
Lower energy prices, more economic opportunity for Americans. So yeah, it was elated atmosphere at a global energy conference.
Well, we're working on one project. It should.
Yeah, I
be very
agree,
easy.
someone. I agree.
It's a pipeline going through a small section of New York. New York's held it up for years, actually, for years. They wanted to do it for years and years. And it will reduce the most expensive energy almost in the world is in New England because they have no way of getting it there because it's been held up by New York. And the whole of New England and Connecticut and New York, the energy prices are through the roof. And this one pipeline will save per family $2,500 just on heating.
Dang,
and
that's a
another
lot.
$2,500 on everything else. So the energy.
That's a lot of
just
money.
A simple pipeline going through an area that wants it, an area that's not a rich area. It's actually a very poor area. Would create jobs and everything else. And it's going to be way underground. Nobody's going to see it. Once they fill it up, nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to know it's there. And families in New York and Connecticut and New England are going to save $5,000 a family. Think of that. Because right now they have the highest energy prices maybe in the world, they say. New England is a disaster. So we're working on that. In fact, the governor's coming in, Governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, who's a very nice woman. She's coming in tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to meet me on that and other things. Not only that, but other things. So I hope we don't have to use the extraordinary
A lot of people
powers
coming
the
to the
federal
White House.
government to
A lot
get
of
it
stuff
done,
going
but
on.
if we have
Every
to,
day
we
there's
will.
like
But I don't
tons of
think
new
we'll
stuff
have to.
happening. It's
I can tell you
crazy how
Connecticut
much
wants it, and all of New
that
England
Trump has
wants it.
done in the
And
first
who
like
wouldn't
50
want it?
days.
And it's also jobs.
It's-
on top
it's
of
insane.
everything else. So that's going to be very exciting. So we're meeting with the
If you're
governor
just popping
tomorrow
in,
morning.
guys, do you think Trump is going to end the war in Ukraine? You think they're going to come to an agreement with Putin?
What is your vision
Get something
for
figured
the
out?
potential annexation
Let me know in the comments.
of Greenland and getting them potentially to
Well, I think it'll happen, and I'm just thinking, I didn't give it much thought before, but I'm sitting with a man that could be very instrumental. You know, Mark, we need that for international security, not just security, international. We have a lot of our...
They're talking about
favorite
Greenland? I
players
think they're talking about
cruising
Greenland right now.
around the coast, and we have to be careful. And we'll be talking to you. It's a very appropriate, really a very appropriate
And there's
question.
an
Thank
issue
you
in the
very
high
much.
north, so the Arctic. So what you did, so when it comes to Greenland, yes or not joining the US, I would leave that outside for me, this discussion, because I don't want to drag NATO in that. But when it comes to the high north and the Arctic, you are totally right. The Chinese are now using these routes. We know that the Russians are rearming. We know we have a lack of icebreakers. So the fact that the outside Russia, there are 7 Arctic countries working together on this under U.S. leadership is very important to make sure that that region, that part of the
Very
stays
important.
safe.
Yes,
And we
yes.
know things are changing there, and we have to be there.
Do you guys think
and election there. the
Greenland
other
is
day,
going to
consider
become part of the U.S.?
when
Do you think that's actually going to happen?
plebiscite where the people of Greenland would be in a position to decide.
I mean, crazier things have
if
happened.
they
You
want
never
to
know.
become part of the United States.
Yeah, it was a good election for us, as you know. It was not a referendum. It wouldn't be called that. It was an individual election. But the person. that did
I don't
the
think that's going to
best
happen,
is a
man.
very good person, as far as we're concerned. And so we'll be talking
Trump can't
about
do any
it,
worse
and
than
it's
Biden
very
did.
important.
Biden is the reason we
Mark
have all this
mentioned the word
inflation and all these high
icebreakers. So
prices.
We've ordered. We're in the process of ordering 48 icebreakers.
Inflation's actually going down under
And
Trump.
Canada
Prices are
wants
starting to
know if
drop.
They could use them. I said, well, you know, you got to pay
It's just
for
going to
them.
take some time, but
Think
it's
of it,
already starting to
Canada.
turn around.
We pay for their military. You know, Canada pays very little for their military because they think we're going to protect them. But even with the icebreakers, so we're going to order 48, and Canada wants to be part of the deal. I say, you got to get your own icebreakers. I mean, if you're a state, you can be part of the deal. But if you're a separate country, you've got to get your own icebreakers. Russia, as you know, has about 40 of them. And we have one big icebreaker. But that whole area is becoming very important. And for a lot of reasons, the routes are, you know, very direct to Asia, to Russia. And you have ships all over the place. And we have to have protection. So we're going to have to make a deal on that. And Denmark is not able to do that. You know, Denmark's very far away and really has nothing to do. What happens? A boat landed there 200 years ago or something, and they say they have rights to it. I don't know if that's true.
If you're just popping into the stream, guys, Trump is talking
But we've been
about
dealing with Denmark,
Greenland,
We've been dealing with Greenland, and we have to do it. We really need it for
saying he
national
thinks
security. I think
it
that's
needs to
why
be a part
NATO
of the
might
U.S.
have to get involved in a way because
Like
we really need,
strategically, it's in a
Greenland
good
for
spot.
National security. It's very important.
For national
You know,
security,
we have
so,
a couple
you know.
of bases on Greenland already, and we have quite a few soldiers. And maybe you'll see more and more soldiers go there. I don't know. What do you think about that, Pete? So don't answer that, Pete. Don't answer that. But we have bases, and we have quite a few soldiers on Greenland.
Because it's a question, your commitment to NATO. Will anything change? Your commitment to NATO. Will anything change? Same amount of money?
Well, I think they
same
made
number
a
of
great
troops?
step by putting Mark in charge. I think, to me, that's a great step because he and I have seen eye to eye on everything for a long time. We've been doing this a long time now.
9 years now.
And so that's a great step. You have to keep NATO strong. You have to keep it relevant. But the biggest thing we have to worry about right now is what's going on right now. I think the rest is going to take care of itself.
We
I
got to
see
get the
this
war
as- this
stopped,
was
guys.
a
The
fluke.
war in
This was
Ukraine, got to
something
get
that
it
if we
done.
had a competent president, it would
Gotta
not
get it
have
finished.
happened. The man was grossly incompetent. All you have to do is take a look at he signs by auto pen. Who is signing all this stuff by auto pen? Who would think you signed important documents by auto pen? You know, these are major documents you're signing. You're proud to sign them. You have your signature on something. In 300 years, they say, oh, look, can you imagine? Everything was signed by auto pen, almost everything. Nobody's ever heard of such a thing. So Should have never happened.
Tomorrow at the Justice Department about law and order, could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're going to be with the Justice Department. We have a great Justice Department. Pam Bondi is so fantastic, and Todd Blanche and Emil, you got to know him a little bit. He was acting for a little while. And some other people are incredible in the Justice Department, and I consider the FBI to be a part of it in a sense, and Cash is going to be fantastic, and all the people. Dan Bongino, I love that. I mean, I love that. I think Dan is great. I think we have unbelievable people. And all I'm going to do is set out my vision. It's going to be their vision, really, but it's my ideas. And basically, we don't want to have crime in the streets. We don't want to have people pushed into subways and killed, and then the person that did the pushing ends up in a 15-year trial and gets off scot-free. We want to have justice, and we want to have safety in our cities as well as our communities. And we'll be talking about immigration. We'll be talking about a lot of things, the complete gamut. So I look forward to that. That'll be tomorrow at the Justice Department.
Mr. President, you are a man of peace. You said it several times, and you made it very clear. A man of peace dealing with belligerent people. Yeah. And I'm thinking, we saw how you handled Zelensky in this very own room. What is your leverage on Putin? Are you thinking sanctions? What if he refuses to?
Well, I do have leverage, but I don't want to talk about leverage now, because right now we're talking to him, and based on the statements he made today, they were pretty positive, I think. So I don't want to talk about that. I hope Russia's going to make the deal too.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully Russia steps up.
You're never going to be in a process.
Agrees to the ceasefire. We'll see.
Again. I really believe if we had
if anybody can do it, Trump can do it.
Ceasefire treaty.
Trump can make a deal.
Peace. That's going to really lead to peace. I don't think anyone wants to go back.
Biden couldn't make a deal. Trump can make a deal.
And it's vicious and violent. And I think if President Putin agrees and does a ceasefire, I think we're going to be in very good shape to get it done. We want to get it over with. That's why it was very important what I instructed everybody, including Steve, what we're looking for, to discuss concepts of land, concepts of power plants, because it's complicated. You know, you have you're sort of creating the edge of a country. The sad part is that country, if this didn't happen, and it wouldn't have happened, I don't know if they would have to give anything back. I guess Crimea, you know, I said it last time, Crimea was given by Obama. Biden gave him the whole thing, and Bush gave him Georgia. And Trump didn't give him anything. I gave him, you know what I gave him? I gave them javelins. And the javelins were very effective, as you know. I gave them nothing.
2019.
And then also, if you take a look, I was the one that stopped the pipeline going into Europe. It was totally stopped. Nord Stream 2, nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2 before I came along.
See, Trump gets stuff done.
I got along very well with
gets stuff done.
Putin. I got along with.
I don't know what Biden was doing. He was doing stuff that caused this mess.
I got along great.
Does anybody agree with me? Agree, disagree?
Are
there any Biden fans out there? Any Kamala fans watching?
In record time, General Raisin Kane, and he wiped them out. And he was going to be our new chief, right? He's going to be the head of Joint Chiefs of Staff. And he's a highly respected man. He's going to be great. Pete's going to be fantastic. I have no doubt about it. We have a great team, really great team. Yeah, please. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, some of our allies have said that they're worried that they could be the next to be attacked by Russia. You've spoken directly with the Russian president.
Yeah.
Do you think those fears are justified?
No, I don't. I think when this gets done, it's done. They're going to all want to go home and rest. I don't see it happening. Nope, I don't see that happening. And we'll make sure it doesn't happen. Not going to happen, but we'll make sure it doesn't happen. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Leaders from Russia and Iran are heading to Beijing tomorrow to discuss nuclear programs. What do you hope to get out of that?
Well, maybe they're going to talk about non-nuclear programs. Maybe they're going to be talking about the de-escalation of nuclear weapons, because, you know, I was talking about that with President Putin very strongly, and we could have done something had that election not been rigged.
Let's get rid of the nukes, everybody. Just get rid of them.
Putin on de-escalation.
I know that's not really a possibility, but it would be cool if we could make that happen. But
de-escalated nuclear weapons, because
someone's gonna be holding on to a nuke. It's just how it is.
And right now, Russia and us have by far the most, but China will catch us within 5 years. China doesn't have, but they're in the process of building, and they build, and within 4 or 5 years, they'll probably have the same.
And by the way, this is a Republican tradition. Ronald Reagan, when he negotiated with Gorbachev in the 1980s about bringing down the number of nuclear weapons, it's what you have been doing your first.
Bring down the weapons, boys. Get rid of the nukes.
Bring down the number. We have so many weapons, and
How many nukes do we need? Like literally, how many nukes do we need? We don't need all these
You
nukes.
don't need them to that extent, and then we'd have to get others, because as you know, in a smaller way, Kim Jong-un has a lot of nuclear weapons, by the way, a lot, and others do also. You have India, you have Pakistan, you have others that have them, and we'd get them involved. But we started off with Russia and us. We have by far the most, and we were going to denuclearize, and that was going to happen. And then we were going to China, and I spoke to China. I spoke to President Xi about it, and he really liked the idea. You know, he'd like not to spend trillions of dollars building weapons that hopefully he's never going to have to use, and because they are very expensive also. So that would have been great. Okay, one or two more.
There's been tension in the...
Thank you. We're looking at an impending government shutdown Friday midnight.
Do you guys think the government's going to shut down tomorrow at midnight, Friday?
If there's a shutdown, bad things happen. Do you anticipate direct negotiations yourself with conference leader of the Democrats, Chuck Schumer?
Let me know in the comment section. You think the Democrats are going to shut the government down?
It's
Because they won't vote on the spending bill? You think it's going to
If
happen?
it shuts down, it's not the Republicans' fault. You know, we passed a bill where we had an incredible Republican vote. We only had one negative vote, a grandstander, you know, one grandstander. There's always a grandstander in the lot. But it was amazing. People were amazed that the Republicans were able to vote in unison like that, so strongly. If there's a shutdown, even the Democrats admit it'll be their fault. And I'm hearing a lot of Democrats are going to vote for it, and I hope they do. This is an extension. But ultimately, we want to vote for one big, beautiful bill where we put the taxes in, we put everything in. We're going to have big tax cuts. We're going to have tremendous incentives. For
I like
companies
tax
coming
cuts.
into
I
the
like the
country
sound of
and
that.
employing Lots of people. It'll be
Jobs are coming back, tax cuts, making stuff here in America. Borders getting sealed up.
That's what I like, and it seems to be that's where they're heading.
We're this
And,
close,
we'll
this
have to
close
take
to
care of
ending the war
something
in
to do with
Ukraine.
Los Angeles,
That
a
close?
place called Los Angeles,
A little
almost
bit,
burned to the ground. By the way,
maybe.
I broke into Los Angeles. Can you believe it? I had a break-in. I invaded Los Angeles, and we opened up the water, and the water is now flowing down. They have so much water they don't know what to do. They were sending it out to
We're making
the
America
Pacific
great again,
for
boys.
environmental reasons.
We're making it great
Okay, Can
again.
you believe it? And in the meantime, they lost 25,000 houses. They lost. And
Dang.
nobody's ever seen anything like it. But we have.
It's a lot of
water,
houses.
I'd love to show you a picture. You've seen the picture. The water is flowing through the half pipes. You know, we have the big half pipes that go down. 25 years ago, they used to have plenty of water, but they turned it off for environmental reasons. Well, I turned it on for environmental reasons and also fire reasons. But and I've been asking them to do that during my first term. I said, do it. I didn't think anything like could happen like this, but they didn't have enough water. Now the farmers are going to have water for their land.
If there's a lot of fires going
And the
on,
water's
it
in
makes
there. But
sense that
actually
you're
had
going to
to break
need
in.
water
We broke
to put
in
out the fire.
to do it
This is just
because,
common sense.
We had
Just
people
common
that
sense.
were afraid to give water. They were, in particular, they were trying to protect a certain little fish. And I said, how do you protect a fish if you don't have water? They didn't have any water, so they're protecting a fish. And that didn't work out too well, by the way. So a lot of water going down
Oh,
in California,
man.
all coming out from the Pacific Northwest, even some from Canada.
So
Thank you,
California
Canada,
has
very
water
much. I
now.
appreciate
That's
it.
good.
Next
That's
thing you know,
good.
they'll wanna turn the
That would
water
have helped
off.
when the fires
They
were going
wanna
on.
charge us for the water.
But
But it
unfortunately,
comes up from the
Trump
Pacific
wasn't
Northwest,
president
and
when that
it's,
happened.
It's a beautiful thing.
Who was
to see. I mean,
president?
it is
Biden.
brimming with water.
And
Now,
freaking
if
Gavin
we would've had
Newsom
that done,
doesn't.
You wouldn't have had the damage because
The guy's a
the
moron,
fire would have been put
in
out.
my
The
opinion.
fire hydrants would have been loaded.
I don't know how
The
Gavin
sprinklers
Newsom
in
is
people's
still
living
the
rooms
governor
and bedrooms
of
would have been
California.
loaded up
I don't
because
get
they
it.
had no water.
Who is voting for that
The
guy?
government makes them put sprinklers, and they had no water in the sprinklers because they had no water.
And word on the street is Gavin Newsom's going to
so
try to run for president.
The water is flowing.
We'll see. We'll see.
And we're going to have to give a lot of money to Los Angeles to help
Are there any
them.
Gavin Newsom fans in
And
the chat?
Democrats are going to want to do that. So that's
Anybody in the
one thing
chat?
different. And
Don't be
frankly,
shy.
I think
Don't
that
be
makes it
shy.
A lot easier. But one of the big thing is we have the big beautiful bill. We got to get that done, and that will put our country in a position like it's never been. It's a reduction of taxes. It's tremendous incentives for companies to come from all over the world into our
Tremendous
country.
incentives.
It's great environmentally, but it's not this environmental scam that we went through, that we all went through.
The Green New
It
scam.
provides for everything. It's a big, beautiful bill, and I hope we can get it approved, and that'll be next.
Let's
But,
get this bill
in the
approved,
meantime,
baby.
we have the
Democrats, if you're
continuing
watching this, you
resolution,
gotta get this
and,
done.
The Republicans have
We
approved
just
it,
want to
and
make
the
America great
Democrats
again,
have to
okay?
approve it, and
Democrats, get on
I
board
hope they will, and I think a lot of
and be
them-
part of
I can
making
tell you,
history,
they
okay?
want
Be
to.
part of it.
I've spoken to some of them. They really want to.
We're all
but
on the
their
same
leadership
team
may
here.
not want them to. And if
We
it
want to make
goes,
things
it's,
better for America.
purely
What's wrong with that?
Democrats. One more.
On Korea, sir, we've seen tension increasing in the peninsula. You've talked about Kim Jong-un. Do you have any plans of re-establishing the relationship you had during the first mandate?
Well, I would. I had a great relationship with Kim Jong-un, North Korea. If I wasn't elected, if Hillary got in, you would have had a nuclear war with North Korea. He expected it. He expected it. And they said, oh, thousands of people. No, millions of people would have been killed. But I got in. We went to Singapore. We met. We went.
If you're just popping in, guys, welcome to the stream. Trump is hosting the NATO chief, talking about a lot of different things, answering questions from reporters.
I mean, look, when I was running the first time, it looked like there was going to be a war.
Talked
with
about
North Korea.
Greenland,
You know, that
talked about
was-
Ukraine,
Yeah. And
talking about sealing up the border, inflation, trying to get Greenland a part of America.
started off very rough.
There's been a lot of
Wouldn't meet
different
with Obama,
questions that have
wouldn't
been
take his calls.
been thrown at him
I
tonight.
said, how many times did you call? They called a lot. He wouldn't take that call. He told me I wouldn't take his call. But with me, it did start off rough, if you remember. Very rough, actually.
Do we have any Trump fans in the chat? Vote on the little poll we got going over in the chat. Are you a fan of Trump? Yes or no? Let me know in the chat. Vote on that poll.
It was a little
So
bit
far, we have 7 votes. 57% say yes, you are a fan of Trump, and 43% say no, you are not a fan of Trump.
And the meeting caused the Olympics.
Who's going to win,
was
the yeses or the
become a
nos?
Tremendous success. Nobody was buying tickets for the Olympics because.
Also, subscribe if you haven't, guys. You want to see more videos like this?
And not only
Hit that
did the
subscribe and
Olympics
hit that like
become
button.
successful, but North Korea participated
We're making
in
live
the
streams
Olympics.
great again, baby.
It was an amazing thing.
Trump's making America great again. We're making live streams
Was an
great again,
achievement
okay?
of the Trump administration, great achievement, and so I have a great relationship with Kim Jong-un, and we'll see what happens. But certainly, he's a nuclear power. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So there you go, guys. What else is the White House doing at the moment? Let's look at the White. No, I think we looked at the White House. Let's go to more from here. Let's see. Do they have anything going on right now? Any live streams happening? Let's look at the past videos. This is live now from Fox. Putin casts doubt on U.S. ceasefire proposal live now. Let's watch that. And let's see what this
Welcome back
reporter
to Live
has to
Now.
say.
I'm Austin Westfall. Russian President Vladimir Putin is saying on Thursday that he agrees in principle with the U.S. proposal for a 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine, but he's emphasizing that the terms are yet to be worked out, and he's also saying that any truce should pave the way to lasting peace. Putin says there are still issues to discuss.
I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Call President Trump before an agreement is reached. Let's bring in Peter Duran of the Foundation.
So it makes sense that Putin wants to talk to Trump one-on-one first.
Peter,
I mean, that makes
good to see
sense.
you. Does it actually feel like we're inching closer to an end of
I
the
feel
war?
like we're getting closer. I don't know what this guy thinks, but I feel like we are getting closer to bringing this to a close.
Peace talks seriously. This is not going to go over well at the White House. So, what did we hear from Moscow today? Putin said, yes, I'm open to peace, but here's my laundry list of demands. And many of those demands are just going to be non starters for the American side, let alone the Ukrainian side. Let's recall it was Vladimir Putin who started this war. He continues this war, and yet his statements today framed Russia as the victim. He framed Russia as needing protection
Well,
from the
obviously,
Ukrainians. This is not a
but
serious
Putin's
response.
going to
It's
say
very
that.
typical when negotiating with Moscow.
Yes, and that was something that Zelensky alluded to today, I believe. I have a quote in front of me. He said that.
See, when you're negotiating, you ask for a lot. You ask for a lot, and then you make some concessions, and you get what you actually want. That's how it works. You ask for all this when you really want this, but you ask for all this. So then when you have to make some concessions, you make the other side feel like, okay, well, we're meeting you in the middle, but you're still getting what you actually wanted. That's what you do. That's just what you do. So, I mean, that's just my opinion.
He says Putin never says no outright to a deal, but ensures that everything drags along and that normal solutions eventually become impossible. Does it feel like that's what we're seeing?
Well, this is obviously from the standard Russian diplomatic negotiating playbook. The Trump administration in the first Trump 1.0, they did negotiate with the Russians, but they never had to do something this big or this complicated. Let's look specifically at what the Ukrainian side has said. The Ukrainian side, Volodymyr Zelensky, he stated this again and again. You cannot trust Vladimir Putin. He will always break his promises to you. That's true. Let's remember the French. And
Putin's not very trustworthy. Big shocker.
Starting in 2014,
but we got to do something. We can't keep funding this war indefinitely.
Mainly because Russia was not interested.
And other countries, they don't seem to want to step up.
Indicated he's serious and taking.
They've given some money, but nowhere near as much money as the U.S. We can't keep funding this. We got to make it stop.
The White House to show there will be penalties, economic penalties, if the Russians don't start acting with the seriousness that the Americans are bringing to this table.
What do you guys think, though? Drop some comments down below.
Said earlier. Right now, we have all heard from Russia Putin's highly predictable and manipulative words in response to the idea of a ceasefire on the front lines. At this moment, he is, in fact, preparing to reject it. Those are Zelensky's words. Who has the leverage on the battlefield, though, at this point, Peter? Who has more to lose? Who has more to gain?
Well, it's important to remember that President Zelensky in Ukraine was speaking from his own experience. But when we step back and look at that battlefield, we are seeing a stalemate. Both sides have exhausted their offensive power, and that's why the line of conflict has really bogged down in recent weeks and months. The person or the country that has the most leverage in this negotiation is the United States. Let us recall, on Friday, Trump announced on Truth Social, there will be significant economic penalties, an increase in U.S. sanctions on Russian banks and other entities.
You guys like the picture?
Putin continues to be aggressive and wage war against the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians have now said, we want peace. We're ready to deal. We're accepting.
We need peace, boys. This is how it works. It's not going to happen overnight, but we got people talking now. We got people from both sides talking. Trump's in the middle, bringing people together. There's going to be some back and forth, but eventually it's going to happen. It's got to happen.
Speaking of leverage, what kind of leverage does the U.S. have over Russia when it comes to the threats of
Truly Dumb says, I'm just hoping
appeasement
appeasement doesn't happen again.
From Russia in that regard.
Well, President Trump loves tariffs. We all know that. But our trade, the U.S.
How you doing? How you doing, Truly? Welcome back, man.
Rounding error in global commerce. Last year, we only did about $3 billion in trade with Russia. Those were basically non-sanctioned transactions. So the tariffs that Trump is threatening are not nearly as scary to Vladimir Putin as the threat of additional sanctions.
I'm doing good,
Let's
man.
look at what just happened. Think about this. Last year, Europeans sent more money to Russia in exchange for energy payments than they sent to Ukraine. Now, the Trump administration has just let a Biden-era waiver on those payments, on those purchases to Russia, expire. which means the Europeans will no longer
Are you
be
guys
allowed to
are you guys
continue
seeing this
their
right now, like on the screen?
energy dealings with
Like
Russia. That's one example
this does
of how the
not
Trump
seem. I mean, no war
administration
is
beginning
fun.
to
Okay, nobody
apply
wants to go to
new
war.
economic
Nobody wins in a
pressure
war.
to
But
a
like
big oil
these
state like
conditions,
Russia. Without energy
snow,
revenue,
it's
it becomes
cold.
very hard for Putin to pay for this war
That is
against
just not.
Remind us,
Does
what
not look
has
good.
Ukraine said about the proposal that's on the table? They've agreed to it, correct?
That's right. Well, we all saw the terrible blow up in the White House in the previous days, a while ago. It was really disappointing. The Ukrainians went back.
The guy on the right, you could tell the guy on the right definitely does not like Trump. He's the Trump hater.
Message. They met with
Top
the
10. How you
US
doing, man?
side in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, within 48 hours ago, and everyone came out saying, "All right, we have a deal." The U.S. side is very pleased. Secretary Rubio was extremely positive. So were the Ukrainians. Any concerns that the White House may have had that the Ukrainians didn't want peace, well, they're now gone. And now all eyes are on Vladimir Putin. And what is he doing? He's trying to throw sand into the gears. I don't think President Trump is going to like this approach. And I expect to see him respond very forcefully to Putin saying, yes, in principle. Also, here's my list of demands that the U.S. side will see as
Well, what did you think Putin was going to do? Just be like, okay, yeah, let's end the war. You can have all your land back. We just spent all this money and lost all these Russians for nothing? Like, no. Putin's going to want to keep the land he has and probably ask for more.
Does it feel like Ukrainian officials and Russian officials need
to if you think he's gonna do otherwise, you're just lying to yourself.
Well, that was the reason that the U.S. delegation traveled to Moscow.
We're going to have to meet in the middle, you know?
They were trying to see
one side isn't going to be happy.
Secretary Rubio.
Ukraine's going to have to make some concessions. Russia's going to have to make some concessions.
At this point, we don't know how.
And people are just going to have to learn how to live with it.
Ukraine and Russia.
But if like,
so today's visit,
if they got to give up some land
was an attempt to
for people to stop dying, I mean,
that meeting, Vladimir Putin,
I think it's worth it.
On to a
it's either that or we just keep funding the war forever and more people keep dying and nothing changes.
We are a very long way away. Russia must be protected from future attacks by the Ukrainians, which is an absurd starting position. Russia is the reason why this war continues. So Putin's playing games. I very much hope that the Trump White House sees through these games and they slam the door very tightly on Russia's gambit. They can do that, as I said, by ratcheting up our U.S. sanctions on Russia so that Putin feels enough pain where he sees peace as his only viable option. That's the play Trump has indicated.
Yeah, I know America's got sanctions on Russia, but I think the other countries need to step up and put sanctions on and stop like selling to Russia, stop buying from Russia, just basically cut off their money.
Happened yet? Have we heard of anything coming out of those talks, or is it still expected to happen soon?
We haven't heard anything from the U.S. side at this point. That's why it was very interesting to see President Putin with his subordinate, essentially, the president of Belarus. Let's recall that Vladimir Putin has co-opted Belarus, and this was a global stage.
Thank you for the likes, by the way, guys. Smash that like button if you're enjoying the video and if you want to see more reaction videos like this.
In negotiating with Russia.
The likes do help. I appreciate
many
it.
Diplomats who have had to sit at the other side of this table with the Russian side, with Vladimir Putin personally, have said time and time again, you can't trust Putin. He almost always negotiates in bad faith unless he is forced to negotiate in good faith. And that's going to be the heavy lift that sits before the U.S. negotiating team.
So before we go, what are we looking for next?
China and Russia have good business relations, and China is the second biggest economy power currently. So while I'm sure sanctions from the West will hurt, it won't be enough. Yeah, China's going to have to kind of step it. The thing is, though, like, people aren't just going to slap on sanctions to Russia, because that's going to obviously have consequences. Like, if China does it and stops, selling to Russia, buying from Russia, they're going to want the U.S. to, like, give them something in return for, like, doing that. So it's a very complicated situation.
If you are going to stop the bullets from flying and at least have a short-term ceasefire that leads to a long-term peace.
So it's a very complex situation. The blood moon is actually tonight, guys. I think I live in Idaho, so it's supposed to happen. You're supposed to be able to see it around, like, I think 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m. in the morning. The blood moon. Recession fears. Recession fears. Stock market plunges as President Trump threatens new tariffs. Let's see what these people are chatting about.
We're following it, trying to keep up with all of those tariffs. And
the market
as you heard,
plunges.
they're trying to potentially cool off
The stock market fluctuates, guys. I mean, come on. I'm not worried.
Some of these trade wars now implemented. I also want to put up
I'm not worried.
a look at the big board as it was closing today, dropping some 500 points. Obviously, it was down some 600 points on the day at one.
When the market drops, that's a good time to buy.
10%,
you know,
making what they're
it's like you're getting stocks at a discount.
Following some of these latest as a sell-off hit a new low on Thursday.
Goldman Sachs is saying there is a 20% chance of a recession defined as 2 quarters. Well, the thing is, I think we're already in a recession. Like we were in a recession during Biden. They just refused to say it was a recession. And now that Trump's in, they're like, oh, now it's a recession, even though it was. So the media is stupid.
To keep up with everything that's going on. But
and top 10, I'll probably play some Fortnite on my day off, man. I have Monday, Tuesdays off, so I'll probably play some Fortnite then.
Interesting
at some point,
because you're right, we have seen so much news on tariffs coming through, both in terms of what's actually being implemented on the US side, as well as now these retaliation actions by our foreign neighbors. And this can be, you know, potentially, as we saw, very damaging for markets because of all the uncertainty. And it's not just the uncertainty that investors are feeling about the economy, but we're seeing it in consumer as well as business.
You can't make an omelet without cracking some eggs, guys. Okay,
from consumers,
you can't.
But we did see earlier in the week
it might get worse before it gets better. That's just how it is.
About the economy.
I'm not worried.
So we are seeing
some people might be worried. I'm not worried.
But it is sort of that soft.
Don't know, maybe Goldman Sachs is just a group who monitors the market, though. I don't think they have any major political slant. They just care about money, from my understanding. Might be right.
Now, certainly we've seen some subtle indications that the administration policies are having an effect, but it's very minor at this point, because you have to remember, we're really looking at data from January and February still, even though
I went to Walmart today and I looked at the egg prices. It was like $9 for a carton of 12 eggs.
A crash, a correction. Can you give me some of these
crazy
definitions and what it exactly means for
$9 for 12 eggs?
So a correction is,
I didn't buy any.
You know, really just a sort of, you know, change in ratio, if you will.
But man, that's
while a correction is
crazy.
Nothing that we want to celebrate, and certainly is one of the
thanks for popping in, top 10.
We do watch it very closely. I think we really need to look at the overall trend and what's happening so far.
It's worse out here in the city.
But still, when you look over year, when you look at
13.25. Dang.
Actually, you know, investors and certainly
for 12 eggs,
effect is still
they had like, you know, the cartons of I think like 18 eggs.
Really edge down.
Those were like $18 for 18 eggs. That's like $1 an egg.
Need to start worrying. We've been in correction territory before on some.
And I guess supposedly
probably going to
prices have dropped a little bit on eggs. I haven't looked at eggs in like a while, but supposedly they've gone down a little bit. So I'm still not buying eggs.
You're seeing Secretary Bessent and others try to.
I know there was like the bird flu thing going on, so they killed a bunch of chickens to help with the bird flu so it wouldn't spread, and I think that caused,
just in terms of how long it
obviously an egg shortage.
This is a sustained period of tit for
well, yeah,
tat,
they're a little bit expensive at the moment.
And things of that nature, that can end up being,
I told my boss, just pay me in eggs. Just pay me in eggs.
For spending,
my next paycheck, just deliver me a bunch of eggs.
Planning. It can also start to really weigh on the wider economy.
Pay me in Bitcoin.
That's going to be my next question. The fact that we're so closely monitoring.
It's cheaper to buy the chicken over the egg. True. You're very right, man. I thought about getting chickens, but then I gotta take care of them. I gotta worry about them getting out.
And when, and I know President Trump has been asked about this,
I gotta buy them food.
Signings inside of the Oval Office about what's the line that you need to be concerned about if we zoom out too far and it's still taking a turn. Is there a number? Is there?
How much is a chicken, guys?
Is there a line that you're looking?
How much does a chicken cost? Let's look it up.
Maybe more concerned that you're looking at.
Well, I mean, I think
much
everyone's taking
for
in the
a
broad depth
chicken?
of the data. I will say I'm looking very closely at consumer spending patterns right now, because what we're kind of keeping an eye on, I think, more often than not these days, is this idea of sentiment turning into action. We've seen sentiment-driven recessions before, but they're fewer and far between.
It says on the
I would
internet like
argue,
between
than,
20
some
and
of your
50 bucks
hard
per chicken,
data-driven
depending on like the
recessions, or
kind of
things that
chicken and
are
stuff.
black
My folks
swan
have a chicken
events, like,
coop.
for
It's the
example,
only reason
the
I
COVID
get an
pandemic that we
egg
just went through.
ration. Nice.
So, when we're looking
They only
at
lay a certain amount of eggs. They
changing
don't lay
attitudes,
eggs their whole
changing
life.
behaviors, that's where
Interesting.
we
I didn't
really
know
start
that.
to, hit the pedal, if you will, and potentially, more problematic data coming out. I think we're looking at things like retail sales very closely. Obviously, January wasn't a super fantastic month for spending, but then again, we had weather issues, we had natural disasters. I think we really need to look closely at February. We need to look
I'm looking
closely
at chickens
March.
right now.
Unfortunately, I think this is just a wait and see game in many respects. I know everyone would really like some, news that says, watch this, and, by X date, we will know. Unfortunately, the
You just like
economy
order a
that we
chicken from
have is
Amazon,
so
a live
complex
chicken from
that
Amazon. It
it's
comes in a
just
little
not
box.
one measure.
You unbox it, and it's just a live chicken. That would be crazy, bro. My folks got 2 dozen for $10 a chick. Interesting.
Talking about a two-way street, and you mentioned that
They got 2 dozen chickens for $10 a chicken.
Do you think that hypercharges
That's pretty
some
cheap.
of the impacts on the market when there is a tariff that's implemented against?
I mean, I got like a medium-sized backyard.
Otherwise, and then a retaliation. Does that hype it up? Does that?
And this is Idaho, so like I can have
It
chickens.
absolutely puts it into overdrive. So when we talk about economics, and we talk about tariff
Build me a little chicken
implications,
coop.
you'll hear a lot from Fed officials and economists sort of sitting there and talking about it being a one-time price level increase. But when you sit there and start talking about the magnitude,
But even when I like
as
bought
well
eggs
as
when they
the
were like reasonably
really
priced,
interstitial
I would always
actions
buy
of
eggs and I would
different
forget I
countries,
had the
when we really
eggs,
do
and then
get
they would end up
into
going bad. So
a
like half the
true
carton would just go
trade
bad.
war, the implications, the effect, the impact of all
Because
of this
I always
is
like sleep
not
in,
just a one-time
and then I have to
issue.
get. I have
It
like
is
20 minutes to
something
get to
that,
work,
when we
and
have
then I
that
don't even have time to
sustained
eat
level
breakfast.
of activity, when we have those retaliatory actions, that's what can turn this into something that we
They bought it
really have to
directly from
watch for
farmers.
long-term
Interesting.
inflationary effects. And so that
I
is
might
what
have to
you're
do
hearing
some
from Fed
research on some
officials, when you're hearing
chickens.
from economists
We'll
these
see.
days saying, we're watching
Also,
things
this video
closely,
has
but
almost
I think,
700
Powell said it
views,
best
guys. You guys are
last week
awesome.
when he sort of said we're
Also, do me a
watching
favor,
the,
hit that
the
like button
signal
if you're
and
enjoying the video.
noise, because that's really
Or hit
what
the
we need
dislike
to
button.
start
It all
really
helps.
digging into at this point. How is
And
this
subscribe
going
if you want to
really
stay up to date.
impact if we do have these sustained different ideas going into place? I will also sit there and say that the retaliatory actions can really come from a wide sector. So what we saw either this week, for example, was the idea that the U.S. was putting, additional tariffs on steel and aluminum. Well, now we're talking about retaliation of actions on Harley Davidson motorcycles, on Kentucky bourbon. I mean, these are industries that have, almost nothing to do with the initiating event, and yet they're being dragged into this. And so that's why it can feel uncertain. That's why it can feel chaotic. And unfortunately, that's why it can be a bigger impact than, the initial implication would imply.
Yeah, some of those being pulled into it from maybe the outside looking in. And obviously, we're talking about Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. I do want to play out just a quick soundbite as he tries to reassure the American people about these tariffs, about their plan for the economy. Stick with us, Megan. Let me play this out, and I'll get your reaction.
Concerned about the short term. I think we've had a big unwind, and the tariffs, we've got strategic industries we've got to have. We want to protect the American worker, that a lot of these trade deals haven't been fair. But I can tell you what's not good for the economy is this government shutdown. I don't know what Democrats
we don't
are
need to
thinking
shut down
here,
the government.
'cause
I don't
they're
know what Democrats are
and to
doing.
the extent that it hurts confidence, hurts the American people. We have had incredible.
Yeah, I heard there's going to be a lot of
unity
tariffs on
since
like alcohol,
January 20th. And the fact that the
like
Democrats
whiskey
are
and
in
wine,
disarray,
and there's going to be a lot of
flailing.
tariffs.
And this is the best
I don't
they can
drink,
do.
so I don't really
That
care, but
I think this is the economic story for the next.
have
few
you
days.
ever heard ground news?
Not the tariff, not for the next few days.
I have
If
not.
they want to take us into a shutdown, they're going to own it.
All right, and as you heard there, he talked about some of the strategic nature of these tariffs, but the conversation now shifting, pausing off these tariffs, talking about the continuing resolution. I don't want to get into it too much, but all of these things aren't happening in a vacuum. In terms of the uncertainty, in terms of the continuing resolution.
If you're just popping in, guys, welcome to the stream. We're watching news videos, news snippets about the economy, about the Ukraine war.
React to this coming up.
I think it's one of those situations where, unfortunately,
we're reading comments from the subscribers and viewers. So if you got any questions, if you got any input, any thoughts, any opinions, post them in the chat. We've been talking about chickens,
until, the deadline has
egg prices,
passed,
food
prices.
prices.
You have to remember, there have been so many down the line to the minute kind of, saves that have happened in terms of deals averting a shutdown, or we even go over it, but it's a weekend shutdown and it makes no difference. So I think that it's one of those situations where we've said in the past, when it comes to government shutdowns, the duration is really the key here. And I just don't see a huge appetite from either party to have a very prolonged shutdown like we did during Trump's first term. So it is one of those situations where I wouldn't rule out, some small economic output and some, certainly effects, but it may be more limited to the DC area. And I really wouldn't expect it to show up in any big way on any of the economic data that we've got coming in.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, it's almost too commonplace that we've seen these continuing resolutions, not necessarily a full budget being presented to Congress. All right, Megan, before I let you go, anything else that you're monitoring? I know there's a couple big meetings upcoming. Anything you're keeping your eye on over the next couple weeks?
I'm keeping an eye, obviously, on tomorrow's University of Michigan sentiment report from consumers. That'll be a big one. And then next week, we do have Fed officials meeting in D.C. to determine rate policy. I think we will see a pause continuing from the Fed officials, but we are getting an expectation on what they expect to do for the rest of the year. I think they might do 2 rate cuts this year. So we'll have to take a look and see what the official, statement says on Wednesday.
Yeah, a lot to keep up with. I know you're doing your best. Great reporting over there at Barron's. Megan Lenhart, thank you again. I appreciate your time here on Live Now.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'm looking into Ground News, man. I'm going to subscribe to them and I'll check out some of their videos later. But yeah, thanks for the suggestion, man. Thank you for the suggestion. What else we got here? Let's hit the back button real quick. Exit that. We got that full moon, that blood moon happening tonight, guys. Today's date is 3/13/2025.
This is not twilight, and it's not every day you see a blood moon, and that happens early tomorrow morning. You can spot a total lunar eclipse. That's when
total lunar eclipse. I can't see the moon from my window,
and the sun.
But I might set a timer and try to wake up.
Down there in Florida,
I think it's supposed to happen in like an hour or something, an hour and a half.
At tonight, in terms of some of the times in Florida,
that blood moon.
We're going to be joined right now by Fox's Sarah Allegre at NASA's Johnson Space Center. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. This is so very fascinating.
Oh, you live in Maine. That's cool.
Look at it.
Making some rice. I love rice.
For people to take in tonight, late Thursday into early Friday.
Well, let's talk about timing first, Andy Mac. So if you're on the Eastern time zone,
it's
going to be around 2:26 a.m. For where I'm at in Houston, we're talking 1:26 a.m. And it all depends on the cloud coverage, too. So hoping for clear skies, depending on where you're at. And you'll get to see the moon kind of slip right into the Earth's shadow, creating that fun orange and red hue, really as planet Earth is sandwiched right in between both the sun and the moon. Now, unlike a solar eclipse, we don't need any kind of a special eyewear. You don't need a telescope. You could really see from the naked eye. Again, all you need, though, is just
the
clear
naked eye
skies and a good view. And NASA's already got a front row seat to this all. They've got 2 unmanned spacecrafts. They're at the moon right now. We have NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. This has been orbiting the moon for 15 years now. And now we have the Firefly Aerospace Blue Ghost Mission 1. This is a commercial lander which just landed on the moon's surface a week and a half ago. So we're going to get a lot of new data to help scientists prep for future moon missions, including the return of astronauts with the Artemis program and hopefully some cool pictures of what's going on there.
What I'm most looking forward to for this eclipse is not just enjoying this rare celestial event, but also marking this moment in time as we're preparing for humans to go to the moon. Next year, we'll send 4 astronauts around the moon in the form of the Artemis 2 mission. And at least a year after that, we'll send the Artemis 3 mission to the lunar South Pole. I particularly will be looking at the lunar South Pole, imagining what it would be like to be standing there looking back at this eclipse as it unfolds. Future explorers may get that view, and we're preparing for that eventuality today.
And what's fun about this, it's actually occurring on Pi Day, March 14th.
Pi Day.
3.14. It's that constant
Lunar
number,
colony
that
in our lifetime, maybe.
constant
I know. Elon's trying to get to Mars.
Calculate and measure the Earth's shadow.
But I feel like the only way we're getting to Mars is, I think they said they want to make like a base on the moon, and we can kind of use that as like a launching pad.
The date along with the Earth,
because we're already out of the atmosphere at that point, which means less fuel and stuff, because we're already going to be out of the atmosphere. So if we can like have the rockets situated on the moon, that gives us a better chance to get to Mars and stuff. There's this whole thing. I'm not a what do you call it?
Can you talk about that facet at all?
I don't know much about space,
yeah,
but
really
that's kind of what I've heard.
How many of us around the world are
Because they want to make
be
some
able
like
to witness this together
some
and really
base
seeing
on the
either
moon,
the sunrise or the sunset kind of bounce off
which makes
the lunar
sense.
surface, which is really creating this interesting, beautiful orange and red hue, a rarity of an event. And it looks like we won't see anything, at least to this totality and this sphere, when we're looking at North and South America until just around January 1st of 2048. So if you can, and
2048. We're not going to see another blood moon like this until 2048, guys. So look up the times on your computer. Go watch it tonight, because you're not going to see it again for a while. Don't miss it.
We appreciate your time, your insight here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Are you guys going to watch the blood moon? Let me know in the chat.
As NASA says, don't sleep on this in the Western Hemisphere. Step outside late tonight to see a blood moon, depending on where you are in the United States. Depends on when totality will begin.
I bet I'm going to fall asleep before it actually happens.
Eastern time, and basically the
I feel like I always miss it.
United States will have a chance, depending on the cloud cover.
But, you know, people are going to make YouTube videos, so I got to always watch it on YouTube, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Won't get to view it in full. All right, I'm Andy Mack. We're back after this.
Is this actually playing a live feed of the moon? Let's see.
Qual? O último que você fez do
I don't know. I don't know if they actually are.
This is not Twilight.
This is not Twilight. I have a Canon camera. I'm gonna get some nice pics. Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Am I subscribed to these guys? I'm not subscribed to Live News from Fox, so I'm subscribing now. Trump on migrants. Massive fire engulfs office building in Houston, Texas. Oh, that's not good. Police believe Southern California hospital incident was a swatting call. All these news stories I am just completely out of the loop with. Iran to Trump, do whatever the hell you want. Okay. Recession fears, we watched that one. American airline plane catches fire at Denver International Airport. Like, what is going on with the airports, guys? It seems like every other day there's like a news story of like some plane crashing or almost hitting another plane or landing and then flipping upside down or something crazy going on with planes. I've never been on a plane. I don't really want to go on a plane after hearing all this stuff. Not that I want to go on a plane anyway, but yeah, I just I don't really travel a whole lot. I don't think I've even been out of the state of Idaho like in the past 10 years. I just work a lot. I don't really travel much. I need to go to places in Idaho. There's a lot of cool stuff to do in Idaho. I haven't really taken the time to look at the stuff we have in Idaho, but you know. Sneak attack. Russian forces go inside gas pipeline to strike Ukraine. That's not good. That was 4 days ago. Trump cabinet, no, transition period coming for economy, says Trump. I fly between here and New York a lot. Oh, okay. Tornado strikes. Tornado slams Lake Mary, Florida. Have you guys ever watched the Storm Chasers, like on YouTube? They have like these guys and they have like these cars that they build, like these trucks, and they chase tornadoes. It's crazy. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Twister, but they basically do this like in real life. And they have like, they live stream the whole thing. It's crazy. They just chase tornadoes. That's all they do. And they live stream it. They have like this whole YouTube channel. It's insane. Yeah, Storm Chasers are awesome. My dad and I used to watch them all the time. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. If you're just popping in, guys, welcome to the stream. Let's see here. Spring break and heated intense town hall with citizens in Asheville. Are there any live? Is there anything happening live right now? St. Patrick's Day is coming up. Watch protesters arrested at Trump Tower. There are protesters that... Why do people... I mean, if you got to protest, that's one thing, but you don't have to be violent. I'm hearing stories of like protesters going to like Tesla dealerships and lighting stuff on fire and blowing up cyber trucks. No, if you want to protest and hold up a sign, that's fine. Okay? But don't be doing violent things. Don't, deface public property. Don't like break windows and all that crap. Like that's no. If you want to have a peaceful protest, that's fine. But it doesn't have to turn into a riot. I don't get what these people always have to like start breaking crap. I don't get it. Live moon landing 7 days ago. Melania Trump roundtable. Pro-Palestine protests on campus, New York, turned violent. When has a pro-Palestine protest ever not turned violent? That's what I want to know. It seems like every time I watch, there's probably lots that don't turn violent. But from what I see, there's a lot that do. But maybe the news just only covers the violent ones because that fits their narrative and it's more entertaining to watch, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah. That was 2 weeks ago. President Trump and French President Macron meet. But we'll see what happens with the Ukraine thing. I know like they had envoys go to Russia and they're talking with Putin. And they're trying to come to some agreement. It's not going to happen. It's probably going to take a while, but hopefully Putin is like, yo, this war's been going on. It's costing us a lot of money. Now's our chance to like still get some territory. We're not going to get everything we want, but we can stop the fighting, can have some peace, get back to business. But Putin just needs to stop. Just stop. He shouldn't have went in the first place. That's number one. But he did. And now we got to live with it. It sucks, but we got to live with it. But this war has been going on for like, 3 years? It needs to stop. Like, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Heated, intense town hall. Let's watch this real quick. This was a town hall in Asheville. Apparently there's probably a lot of cursing because they're throwing this guy out.
Detail
That's
5
true.
things you've done this week to protect our democracy. I'll be happy to do that. Let me see how quick I can do it. I participated in a 2-hour classified briefing with a military outfit that is charged with creating the equivalent of an Iron Dome in a region that we are very interested in. I helped pass a continuing resolution that funded our military, gave raises to our military, kept our government running, including all the federal agencies that you're concerned with. I met with...
Well, this is Chuck Edwards hosts a town hall in Asheville, North Carolina, I guess. I guess some people got upset with what he said toward the end of it. There's only a 3-minute clip, so I'm assuming some people got a little rowdy and they had to get thrown out.
Coming up with 5 things is...
If you're just popping in, welcome to the stream, guys. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with Chuck either.
What was that question? I've lost track. What was that question?
That question was, are you willing to fire 25% of your staff like he's doing to others?
Yeah. Well, I'll answer that directly. I've got a staff of about 15 that are working their butts off on your behalf every single day. So, no, I don't intend for them to go anywhere. And without them, we would not have been able to address the recovery of Hurricane Helene like we have.
Why do you support a president that cares nothing about NATO, Ukraine, and democracy, but cares about Putin and other dictators?
What I don't understand is why do the Democrats think Trump is like pro-Putin? He wants to end the war because people are dying. That's like full stop. It's been going on long enough. It shouldn't have happened. Putin invaded. Yeah, it sucks, but he wants it to stop. And Democrats are like, he's pro-Putin because he wants the war to stop, blah, blah, blah. No. People are idiots. Like, how do you spin it to like he's pro-Putin? Like, no, he wants the war to stop. That he wants people to stop dying. That means he's pro-Putin. Doesn't make sense.
Actually, I believe that the president is very supportive of Ukraine. I believe the president recognizes that Putin is a murderous dictator. I think just yesterday he told the
Melissa,
world
how's it going,
that
Melissa?
he believes that we need to increase our sanctions against Russia and probably...
If you're just popping in, welcome to the stream. What video should we watch next, guys? Breaking: President Trump threatens 200% tariffs on European wine and spirits. Okay, let's watch that one.
Do want to take you out to some breaking news that we are following.
Some
with the
breaking
help of
news.
The Associated Press and Reuters. U.S. President
What do you guys think about all these
Trump
tariffs that
today
Trump's putting up?
He would put a 200%
Good idea, bad idea?
wine tariff on all wines and other alcoholic products coming out of the European Union if the bloc did not remove its tariff on whiskey. The European Commission saying Wednesday that it would impose counter tariffs on 26 billion euros. That translated there is $28 billion worth of U.S. goods from next month, ramping up a global trade war in response to blanket U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum. The EU executive saying, however, that it remained open to any kind of negotiation.
Do you think a lot of people are going to stop drinking because it's going to be too expensive to buy
social media post
like
on
wine and
Thursday.
crap?
Do you want to pop that up for you right here on your screen? And I'm going to read it in full. He says the European Union, one of the most hostile and abusive taxing and tariffing authorities in the world, which was formed for the sole purpose of taking advantage of the United States, has just put a
I think it's going to hurt my wallet, but I don't have much of an opinion. Yeah, I don't drink, so it doesn't really bother me much as far as like the wine and champagne and alcohol goes.
Coming
I know a
out
lot
of
of people
France and
do.
other
I got
EU
nothing against people that
represented
drink or
countries.
whatever, you
This
know,
will be
but
great for
I
the
don't,
wine
so it's
and
not really
champagne
going to
businesses
affect me
in
too
the
much.
US. Again, that is a quote here coming in on social media from President Donald Trump a short time ago. We know that U.S. stock futures moved lower and shares of European spirit makers dropped here as that post did come out from Trump. The European Commission said it will end its current suspension of tariffs on U.S. products on April 1st and that its tariffs will be fully in place by April 3rd.
April 30th, 13th? I drink a little, usually 2 to 3 times a month. What else we got? Tensions rise. Ukraine latest troops take control of Sudza. I can't even pronounce that. Massive fire engulfs office building in Houston. Let's watch this one.
Let's go out to the White House right now. Just moments ago,
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt asked about economy, war in Ukraine, and yeah, let's see what she says.
I'm live now.
Man who's doing a tremendous job, by the way, has assured the American people of that. And these cuts.
I think she does a really good job. I think she's a really good press secretary.
There is no reason that we should be spending more than most developed countries in the world in our education.
I also believe she's the youngest press secretary ever.
Card of 8th graders are not reading at the rate that they should. 4th graders are not learning math at the rate that they should. And so we have a problem with our education system. Nobody disagrees with that, but a lot of people seem to disagree with actually doing something about it and changing the status quo. So the president wants to return education back to the states and
back to the states. Thank you for the like, guys. Again, thank you for hitting that like button.
And this is a first step in that process.
And shout out to all the new subscribers and returning subscribers. I think we gained like 35 new subscribers last night, so shout out to you guys. I appreciate it. I think last night's stream got like 8,000 views, over 8,000 views. Crazy.
Comment on because we're not there yet.
So thank you for sharing it, liking it, telling your friends about the channel.
The Ukrainians have agreed to a ceasefire. The Ukrainians have agreed to the peace plan that was.
Oh, nice! You're 1 year out from getting your teaching degree. That's cool.
The Secretary of State and our National Security Advisor, whom I just spoke with before coming out here, and he informed me that he has had a call today with his Russian counterpart, and the president's team continues to be engaged. As you all know, Mr. Witkoff is traveling to Moscow later this week.
From what I heard, I think today they like cut 50% of 50% of the Department of Education staffing. I don't know if that's true. I just saw the headline. Or they want to cut 50%. I don't know if they actually have cut 50%. I'm not sure. In English specifically, nice.
Caroline, on the CHIPS Act, the president has called for a full repeal on it, but it appears that the Senate GOP is looking for more reform on that. Is this going to be an all or nothing as far as the president is concerned?
I think the president's made his position on that quite clear.
The NATO Secretary General will be here tomorrow.
Yes.
What is the president hoping to get out of that meeting? What are his asks of the new Secretary General?
Yes, he will be here tomorrow, and I suspect the president will provide guidance on that meeting after it takes place. But I'm quite confident.
Smash that like button, guys.
To NATO, he will
smash it.
The NATO Secretary.
Smash it.
The president's belief that NATO countries need to pay their fair share for their own defense.
The more people that hit that like button, the more people tune in, the faster we make live streams great again.
Is 5% still his commitment, like what he expects from the European countries, 5% of GDP for defense?
Last time I spoke with him, that was his commitment, yes. Christian, go ahead.
Thank you. Does the president have any response to the ICC arrest of Rodrigo Duterte, the former Philippine president?
I have not spoken to him about that, but I can and get back to you.
Well, separate question then.
Sure.
There's this March 13th deadline for departments to submit their agency reduction plans. Can you give us an update on that? Is there any foot dragging from any places within the federal government?
Taylor, how you doing, Taylor?
Everybody is working together as one team. This is a goal that every
How's it going, mate?
across the board.
How you doing?
We have to reduce our workforce. We have to make our bureaucracy more efficient. And then when the March 13th deadline hits, we can talk about that when it does.
We're cutting the spending, guys. We got to fire some people. It sucks, but Like, if we don't do something, like, we are in debt so much, like, we're literally spending more on the interest per year than we spend on the entire military. That's insane. Just the interest. That's crazy. So we got to do something, or there's not going to be anything left. You know, if I have kids one day, they're not like, we got to make some sacrifices so our kids can have a better life. You know, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it. Thank you for liking the video, man.
On the economy, you mentioned yesterday that this is a transition period. How does the White House measure this in terms of when can you not blame it on former President Biden, and when does it fully become President Trump's responsibility?
Well, we've only been here for 52 days, but certainly
52
the president
days.
is working hard every day to, again, bring down
And
the
we
cost
have
of
gotten
living, which
so
we
much
see is
stuff
already
done.
happening. You see the
We have
cost
gotten
of
a
eggs
lot of
going
stuff
down,
done.
Cost of gasoline is going down because of the massive deregulatory efforts of this president, and also the fact that we are delivering on his promise to drill, baby, drill already.
We drilling, boys. We drilling.
This past weekend, the National Economic Advisory put out a report that because of the regulations we've already slashed in just 52 days, we've saved American taxpayers $180 billion. That comes out to about $2,000 per American household. That's in 52 days. So the president is working diligently, and he's working hard on this every single day. And we need Congress to also help. We need Congress to pass tax cuts, which the president campaigned on and the vast majority of the American people support. And as you all know, the president met with business leaders last night at the Business Roundtable, and he said to them in the room, you know, some of you may be Democrats, but that's fine, but we need to get Senate Democrats and House Democrats on board with this tax bill, because America, working America, supports tax cuts. The American people, CEOs, small business owners, and workers all want more money in their pockets, and
I want more money in my pocket. I don't know about you guys, but I would like more money in my pocket. Anybody out there? Anybody agree?
Thanks, guys.
Right, Caroline Levitt doing and speaking to reporters right outside of the White House there in their name.
Right outside of the White House. I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share this video in the chat. If you guys want to check out any of these videos yourself, there's a link to the Live Now from Fox YouTube channel. I just subscribed to them. What else we got? What else we got? Trying to see let's read some of the comments. They should never let any members of press stand behind her. Never seen this before. You have high school seniors that can't read, write, or basic math. Reading, writing, and arithmetic need to be a priority. Education #1. This woman gives interviews every day. Wild. It's true. She does a lot of interviews. Each time I see Levitt doing her job, the more I am angry at Biden's peak for the same position of that woman, self-called black and lesbian, total disgrace and a joke to us voters, and to Biden's presidency, total sham. Trump helping to end the war as promised. Caroline is awesome. She's a breath of fresh air, so professional and so prepared. Absolutely awesome. This is what the majority voted for. The Socialist Democrat Party is history. A lot of positive pro-Trump comments in the chat there. Maybe I should start reading the comment section more. There's some interesting comments. Thank you for the emojis and stuff in the chat, guys. Appreciate that. Let's hit the back button. Are you guys going to watch the blood moon? I think it's happening in Idaho around like 1 a.m. Trump Tower stormed. Let's watch this one. Apparently some protesters stormed.
Live now from Fox as we continue to follow this breaking news. We do know about
Education should be a huge priority in the nation. My biggest worry about getting rid of the Department of Education, though, is gives us one centralized entity to hold accountable for the state. I mean, I suppose education, if we split it up to the states, it can something.
About 100 protesters are inside Trump Tower in Manhattan right now, taking you out live to the
So
scene.
this is what happened earlier today.
Shots that we are getting in here to our
It becomes harder to track. Sorry, phones issues. No worries, man.
I just want to turn up the audio for a moment to see what we can hear before I read you the details.
So we got some Trump protesters, some anti-Trump protesters in Trump Tower.
Right, so it does appear that there is no audio on this, but as you can
This was
see,
earlier today. I
there
think
is a
they
police
probably all
presence
left by now,
inside.
I'm
And
assuming.
here's what we do know as of right now. Demonstrators from a Jewish group are filling the lobby of Trump Tower to
Also, guys, do me a big favor if you can. It's totally 100% free. Smash that like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm notice my channel, and we get more viewers. We get more subscribers. We reach more people. The biggest thing you can do, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment, and if you really like the video and my content, hit the subscribe button. This channel is starting to really take off. We're heading towards 6,000 subscribers.
And they're
Crazy.
saying, bring Mahmoud home now. And again, if you are unfamiliar with this story, Mahmoud Khalil is a permanent U.S. resident who is married to an American citizen and who hasn't been charged with breaking any laws, but he was arrested outside his New York City apartment on Saturday, and he is now facing a deportation. President Donald Trump has said Khalil's arrest was the first of many to come and vowed on social media to deport students who he said engage in pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, and anti-American activity. I do want...
Truly Dumb says, however, I agree that the Department of Education is insufficient, so should see reform. I just hope we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. True.
To see if we have any more shots. We do have one outside.
If you're just popping in,
here
guys,
that I
this
continue
is
to
a
read to you.
video
You
showcasing
can
the
see
protest that
protesters are
happened
also
earlier
outside
today
the building. Let's turn up the sound here and listen
at Trump
really
Tower.
quickly.
Why you're here today? I'm here because my grandparents were Holocaust survivors, and growing up I was always told about their experience in the Holocaust and my family that died in the Warsaw Ghetto. And what we're seeing right now in Gaza is a genocide. And I was always taught growing up to fight any genocide wherever it was happening. And what we're seeing is that the Trump regime is continuing the genocide in Gaza and attacking our freedom of speech here in the U.S.
And that was just outside of Trump Tower, but I did want to bring you back to this image, as it does look like some people may be getting arrested right now inside of the lobby of Trump Tower. Again, this is all in protest here of the effort to deport a pro-Palestinian Columbia University activist. And we are also getting some social media reaction in from Tom Homan, the border czar.
I mean, if people want to protest, that's fine, but like, why you got to go in people's businesses and protest? Like people are just trying to do their jobs, and you're going and you're interrupting that. Like, go protest in the street. Don't stand in front of traffic. Do it off to the side. Go do it in a park somewhere. Why do you have to, like, I hate when I see people just like sitting in traffic or standing in traffic and preventing people from going to work and backing up traffic. Like, that is just stupid. If you want to protest, go do it at a park. Okay, there's places to do it. You don't have to like interrupt people's lives.
So they were staged before all of this did begin.
People got jobs to go to. They got things to do.
Khalil's supporters say his arrest is an attack on free speech and have staged
sitting in traffic is the #1 way to get people pissed off at your cause. True. And a lot of people, those people are stopping that are in traffic, they probably are pro-Palestine or whatever. They probably agree with these people, but they still need to get to their job. You're just turning people against your cause. Exactly what you just said.
Khalil was being detained at an immigration detention center in Louisiana, where he has remained after a brief stop at a New Jersey lockup. Columbia was a focal point of the pro-Palestinian protest movement.
Taylor, thanks for popping in, man.
Across U.S. college campuses this last year. Khalil's wife is pregnant with their first child and finished his. She says that.
How does me getting to work on time do anything about the insert X cause here?
He was born in Syria.
Yeah.
So I do want to just turn up the sound again, as this is a breaking news situation that we are bringing to you here live. Let's listen in and see what we can hear.
We can't hear anything. I can't hear anything.
All right, well, we are getting multiple angles here, so I do want to head back to, looks like, an interview with a protester here outside of Trump Tower on the street. Let's listen in.
Protester against Israeli action in Palestine. I think you know you've maybe crossed some kind of fundamental value for America. What's your name again? Morgan Spector. How do you spell it? MORGANSBECTOR.
I hear you. Hi, could you come on with me? Thank you. What's your name?
Hi, how are you? Can I get your name for the camera?
Yes, my name is India. What's your name?
David.
Blood moon's happening?
Nice to meet you.
Spell your name first.
I as in igloo, N as in Nancy, Z as in dog. Y
Are you
as in
guys
yellow,
watching
A
the
as in
blood
apple.
moon? I don't think it's happening in. I mean, it might slightly be happening in Idaho, but it's not like fully red yet. I'm gonna have to go out and look.
Community members to stand up against.
If I was
the ways
streaming
that
with my
today's
phone, I would
communities
take you guys with me, but you're gonna have to go outside and look for yourself
a
because
population of vulnerable people.
I don't have
We
unlimited
see
data on
historically
my
the ways
phone.
that religion has been used and weaponized to persecute people who are already vulnerable. We've seen that in the civil rights movement. We're seeing it right now with trans people, and really, it's very upsetting and very sad and hurtful, to say the
It's
least.
kinda
to see
red?
something so beautiful being weaponized and being used to justify something so horrible. And you know, it's even more scary that this is something that the average person is still confused about. You know, most of us, the principles that we're raised on, the morals that we have about treating people justly, to be kind, to be considerate, to not make assumptions, to leave judgment to the Creator, all these things are lost. And in fact, people are using their faith now to cause harm and to hurt each other. So we're here to say not in our name, not in the name of Jews will we continue to cause harm, not in the name of Islam will we continue to cause harm, not in the name of Christianity we will continue to cause harm. And so we're here to raise our voices in solidarity with Mahmoud, who is being illegally detained, who is kidnapped by the United States government illegally. And, you know, they're trying to spin a story and say that his views for making sure that Palestinian families and unarmed civilians are safe from the persecution of Israel is in alignment with Hamas and terrorism. And so it's really, really confusing to see the ways that terrorism is being used to define peace and the call for it.
So there you go, guys. That was some protesters talking outside of Trump Tower earlier today. That was 13 hours ago that video was posted. And if you want to protest, like I said, that's fine. Just don't interrupt businesses. Go do it in a park somewhere. Do it on the side of the street. Don't get in front of traffic. Don't keep people from doing their jobs. We got places to be, people to see. Want to protest, make your voice heard, that's fine. But we got to get to work. We got to go do stuff, okay? Or get online, make a video about it. Do a live stream about it like this. You know, there's multiple ways. With the internet, you got multiple ways. 2:59 is when it should be its brightest. Interesting. Well, guys, I'm going to call it a night because it is getting pretty late. I'm going to go check on the moon. If you guys have cell phones or cameras, take some videos of it. Take some pictures of it. If you guys want to tweet me those pictures, my X account is Adam Robin Banks. I think it's underneath my video somewhere. I think it's in the description. Let me see. Do I have it in the description? Yeah, I got my Twitter. I got my Twitter link down in the description. If you guys look down there, you can follow me on Twitter. Send me some pictures of, tweet me some pictures of the blood moon. I'm going to try to take some pictures too. I don't know if it'll actually show up in the dark, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more live streams like this, let me know in the comment section. Hit that like button if you haven't. Subscribe. Turn on notifications by hitting that bell. If you want to really help support the channel, you can hit the join button and become members on the channel. You get access to members-only live streams, behind-the-scenes videos, members-only chat when I turn that on. When I play Fortnite and stuff, you have priority in the queue, and you have a higher chance of getting to play alongside me when I do co-op games and stuff. But yeah, consider joining to help keep the lights on and the internet going. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next video. Until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the input. And I will see you guys in the next stream. Until then, my name is Adam. And remember, keep calm and game on. Toodles!